Lights, camera, debate, ignite, passion strong under the spotlight. Tune in for the clash, tune in for the spark. The critic and the cynic light up the dark.
Welcome back to the Critic and the Cynic. Santa, tell me.
That looks like a dating show. I'm just gonna say it. Like
It kind of looks like it, yeah.
She's in the foreground, and it looks like she's making a choice, and then we have 4 eligible bachelors.
Oh yeah,
in
it's
the
just
background.
like the dating game.
Yeah, that's first impression what I get.
So here's the thing, Trek.tv has this rated at 80%, 80. However, there's only 5 votes. The last ones, we've had at least a few dozen votes. And this one, very few people rated it, so that might contribute to the high rating. So take that with a grain of salt. Let's take a look at the premise here, or at least the tagline. The tagline says, "Oh, what fun it is to find a soulmate." The genre of this film is not rom-com, it is romance.
Alright, so then I would hope for a little bit more seriousness and
yeah.
drama.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna doubt that I'm gonna find it.
I mean, when I look at the poster, like where you're eligible bachelors, I'm thinking this gotta be comedy. It's gotta be.
It has to be, but we'll see.
We'll see. So let's take a look at the premise here. When Olivia, a successful interior designer, finds an old letter from Santa promising she'll meet the love of her life by Christmas Eve, and that his name will be Nick, she's stunned to meet not 1, but 3 guys named Nick. In addition to navigating 3 holiday romances, she finds herself drawn to a coworker. So the 4th one's not a Nick.
Okay.
So the 4th one that's not Nick is the one that she ends up with, right?
Well, I mean, probably.
Because it's one of these things is not like the other, and that's probably how movies like this end up with.
And he'll have something weird, like she'll be like, "Oh no, he's not the one because his name's not Nick," and then there'll be like some weird thing where he goes by his middle name and he is a Nick. And,
yes,
yeah,
like he actually
like
is a Nick, and yeah, you're right, probably. Let's take a look at who's in this. So we have Aaron Crickle, I don't know, Daniel Lissing as Chris. Okay, so these must be the 3 Nicks. And then Benjamin.
Please tell me it's like Chris St. Nick or something stupid.
Well, that's what I'm just saying. Because the first thing I'm thinking of is Chris Kringle. It's Chris Kringle, and because the Nick is what, St. Nick, right?
Yeah.
We have Benjamin Ayres. We have been watching him. Actually, he's been showing up in Smallville a couple times as one of the
fantastic.
As one of the this is the doctors? No, or one of the lawyers that's working for Lex. He's one of the doctors in Saving Hope. And then Christopher Russell and Curtis Sarska are the Nicks. So, whoever Daniel Lissing is, I will say one thing, he's the 2nd name on the cast list, which means he's the guy.
Well, of course, and I'm gonna call it. There's something about him that will show up as a Nick.
Yeah, like you said, Chris St. Nick, or
it's his middle name, or something like
Christopher,
I don't know.
Christopher Nicholas, whatever, or Nicholas Christopher, and he goes by his middle name, or he's just Chris Kringle.
Yeah, I'm gonna call that.
Though, this one seems to have the most Christmas-y plot, even though it is just about dating and whatever. She's doing this because she found a letter from Santa promising that she'd find the love of her life. Like, Santa's playing the part of a fortune teller in this.
Okay, did you watch that TV show? And it was very short-lived, but this is what it's reminding me of, is that she went to a fortune teller, and the fortune teller told her that she already met her soulmate. It was one of her exes. And then she starts going through all of her exes, and it's called like the X list or something like that. And trying to like revisit them to see if one of them is her soulmate.
I watched 1 or 2 episodes when it came out.
I'm pretty sure there was only 1 or 2 episodes.
Okay.
And then it just got like...
I liked the concept of that.
Yeah, it was a good concept. It was boring. Like, because it was just the same thing. Like, okay, what X are we gonna look at today? But, you know, I kind of liked it.
It's alright.
It definitely...
It's a good idea. It's a good idea. I will say that this movie just may, have actual Christmas magic. We have Santa's message to her, which we're already talking about Santa. I mean, if it's not Santa, who wrote that message to her?
Chris. Saint Nick.
So hold on a second. She finds an old letter from Santa. How old? She got a stalker?
When she was like a little girl, and she got this weird message from Santa saying, "You will find your soulmate."
You're telling me it's this Chris guy who literally has been stalking her since
It's
forever.
probably not Chris,
And
but
he played. It's the long con, and he's like, I will have her, and he's like, I will play Santa, and
okay,
that would be dark stuff.
That would be a Lifetime movie, and not a
Good
Hallmark.
point. We need to be watching some Lifetime Christmas movies, because I feel like it'll be just like One Tree Hill, as all soap opera-y and dramatic and redonkulous.
Hey, soap operas are good enough. They definitely can be entertaining.
That's fine. I will say about this. This movie is made by a writer-director. So this is Ryan Landals. He wrote and directed it. Most of them, you don't see that. That one movie from last week, we had the actor who directed it. But he didn't write it. And this guy wrote and directed it. And I don't think there's anything on his list that I've seen. No.
Nope.
But, hey, if you're writing and directing anything, in my opinion, that means you have a passion to tell that story.
Well, and you have, like, pretty much all the control.
You have all the control. You know what you want out of it. So there's a good chance, just because of that will be the best of the week. But it could also be the worst.
And only time will tell.
2 hours later.
I had a lot of fun with this one.
And I was expecting it to be good, basically because so far, Tracked.tv's ratings, just in general, have been pretty accurate to how we felt about them. Like 9 times out of 10, the ratings are in the 6 out of 10 range, like 63-64%, most of them. This one was rated 80, so that's actually similar to last week with the Spy movie. That one was rated the highest out of everything we watched that week for everybody else, and the same goes with this one. I was very curious to see on why that was the case based off of the plot summary, which, once again, if you forgot, this is the one where this businesswoman runs into a letter from Santa that says, yeah, guess what? Your true love, his name is Nick. And so she runs into a bunch of Nicks, and then there's this other guy, her coworker, who she kind of likes more than the Nicks, and you're like, well, obviously that's the one who she's gonna end up with, because it's not a Nick, but, whatever. So, yeah, this one was a lot of fun, I think. It was charming, but above all that, it was actually well put together.
Yeah, immediately you can tell. It just felt like a regular studio movie, not necessarily like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, that's one thing that I agreed when you mentioned that. Immediately when you turn on the movie, to me it felt bigger. It felt more like an actual movie, like you said, studio. And it's just in the way that it was put together. The editing was pretty good right off the bat. The acting was better. It had a crisp look and sheen and feel about it that felt like the cameras they were using were probably just a tad bit more expensive than what they had been using. And it just altogether felt like something you might be able to see in the theater. Might. A couple moments here and there I'm like, it's a little bit cheesy. It's a little bit like a TV movie for sure, but yeah.
Well, but I thought those cheesy moments were intentional because they always happen with the Knicks. You're not supposed to like the Knicks, I don't think. Like they're outwardly perfect, but like the cheesy moments and the cheesy lines always come from them because they're just so like fake and floofy.
Well, that are also the comedic reliefs of the film. It was kind of cool because they also had a lot of chemistry, I think. I think everybody had a good amount of chemistry with everybody.
Yeah, everybody seemed very natural.
Yeah, so the first Nick was an actor that I've seen before in Smallville, and there was a medical show called Saving Hope that he was also one of the main doctors in, and he played a doctor in this as well. And then the second one, Nick B, because there's Nick A, Nick B, Nick C. Nick B, I would say out of the Nicks, he was the most charming. And he was like the down-to-earth. He's like the carpenter type of guy who he builds chairs, and then she uses the chairs and the furniture for her home design stuff. And then the third one's an idiot.
He had a beard.
He
which
did have
you always appreciate.
The bearded guys, that's usually the go-to for the ladies, and for me. But the third Nick C, he was the lovable idiot. He was the fireman that absolutely has no clue about how the world works, and he cannot read into common sense. He's stupid.
Yeah.
And then the Chris, who she, obviously likes more than the Nicks, the coworker, they have this banter going on right from the get-go in the movie because she doesn't know who she's talking to, and she is unknowingly bashing him to pieces before she realizes, oh shoot, that's the guy I've been talking about. And then they have this fun little banter, and there's natural chemistry between them. So in general, I think as a whole, the movie works rather well. I do believe that it is the best of the films that we watched this week.
I would agree with that, and I hemmed and hawed about using the unicorn button, but I'm thinking as we get closer to Christmas that there's probably going to be something better. But this one was a lot of fun, and I do think that most people would enjoy it.
I was curious if you were going to use that unicorn button, because that would have been hilarious, because you would have went from veto to unicorn in the same week. But as it is, if you're not going to give it a unicorn, what would you rate it percentage-wise?
I mean, I'll stick right around 75, 80.
Yeah, the number that was stuck in my head the entire time was 75. Because for me, the spy film, I rated 80. So you would still say that the spy movie's better than this?
They're very different movies. It's really a different reason why you rate it that high, but they're both rewatchable. Like, I would rewatch either one of those.
Yeah, apples and oranges for sure. I think in terms of rewatch, the only one that I would often go back to is the spy one. This one I could see rewatching once. It's definitely much more in the ballpark of Christmas though.
Okay, but what if it's like Christmas time and you're sitting there and you've got the Hallmark channel on and you're just channel surfing and you see this movie come up and you'd be like, oh yeah, I liked that one. So like I would totally leave it on.
Oh yeah. When I've rated movies in the past, that's one of the questions I've asked for rewatchability factor is, are you going to go out and are you going to purposefully try to seek this one out to watch it again? Or if it just so happens to be airing on TV again, would you be like, oh, okay, I liked that, let's watch it again? There is a difference.
Oh, there's a difference, and I'm not sure that I would seek this one out, but I would definitely tune in if I was just channel surfing and I saw that it was on.
So I probably agree with that, because the spy one I might seek out just because it just knew how ridiculous and how fun it was and just reveled in it. But as it is, I would say 75% for this.